So let's go ahead and build out a controller in here for our products. So let's make a controller inside of the products directory. And of course, we're going to call this product controller. And let's head straight over to this product controller and create an index method, which will of course just show us all of the products that we have. And later on, when we get to adding scopes or filters, we can use this to show products from a particular category, and we can hook that into our category functionality. So let's head over to here and create another root resource for this. And of course, this is going to be products in the products folder. And we're going to go ahead and use that product controller. So for the product index then, let's go ahead and just grab a list of the products first of all. And for now, this is going to be really straightforward because we don't have any kind of scoping to filter these. And then let's just go ahead and return a new resource. We've already seen how our resources work. So let's go ahead and generate one of them. Now, this is really important. When I create API resources within Laravel, I like to distinguish between a index resource and a single resource. Now, what I mean by this is when we're viewing in an API endpoint a list of things in an index, we probably want to use a different style of resource, because when we're viewing a product on its own, we're then going to want to show lots of different things like the variations of the product, maybe related products, but we don't necessarily need to see them in an index. So we're actually going to create out two resources over the next couple of parts that will represent things that we want to show in an index and things that we want to show on their own. So let's go ahead and do this. If that doesn't make sense, it will do very shortly. So I'm going to create a product index resource, and we're going to go and in here return product index resource. And of course, we're going to use that collection method on there because we have a collection of products. Let's bring the namespace in for this, and let's open this up and look at the kind of information that we want. Now, this will give us a clue as to what we'll do in the next part if we want to merge in the product index resource for the main one, and we'll see how that works in just a second. So let's go ahead and output some of the information that we might need. So let's say this ID. Let's go ahead and add in the name there. And let's go ahead and add in the slug as well. That will do just for now, so we can test this out inside of Postman. Okay, so if we come over to here, over to the products endpoint and make a request to that. Of course, we don't see anything at the moment because we don't have any products created in here. So let's go over to products and let's just say Nike Air Max, and let's set the price to say 6,000. And of course, create the two dates in there. So if we go ahead and send this across, sure enough, that looks like it is working and we have all of the information that we need. Now, just before I forget, let's go ahead and make another migration in here to add a description to the products table. And let's go ahead and specify the products table in there, just assign that. And let's go and open this up. And this is just going to be a really simple text field with a description in there. Pretty simple, something that we should probably display to the users. So let's say drop column description, and let's go ahead and migrate this as well. So in this case, because we've already got a product in there and this isn't nullable, that's the problem. And we can make that nullable as well, because a product of course might not have a description. So let's go ahead and migrate that change. And let's come over to our product index resource and add this description just in here as well. And of course that will be null if it doesn't exist. Now, the other thing that we want to do is actually paginate this information. So instead of saying get, we're going to say paginate by 10. So let's just go ahead and send this through. And of course, the only difference now is we get the links through and then all of the metadata associated with the pagination. So this is just what Laravel API resources will do by default. So that's pretty much it for our product index. We're just going to write a couple of tests here. The first one, just to make sure that we can actually see products that we are trying to output in this endpoint. And second of all, making sure that that pagination data exists. So let's come over and write a test for this. So make test. And of course, this is a feature test in a product directory. And we're going to call this product index test, like so. So let's open up our product index test. And let's think about what we want to do. So test, it shows a collection of products. Now again, if we just go back to our category index test, we can do exactly the same thing as this, and we can iterate over these if we want, just to make sure that we are returning a collection of items, or we can just create one product and then just check if that exists. So really it's entirely up to you how you make this work. The most important thing though is we need to create a factory for this. So let's go ahead and make a factory, and let's call this product factory, and let's head over to database factories and open this up. Go ahead and add the model in there. You can do that on the command line, but I find it a little bit easier to do in here. So let's specify out a name, and let's just say faker name will just about do. And of course we want this to be unique as well, because for the slug we want to make sure that that is unique. So let's say str slug, pass the name in, and the same with the description as well. So we want this to be a sentence maybe, and that will just about do. And we probably want that to be, say, 5 words, and we can add in a price here as well if we want to. So let's add in a price of this. Let's come over to our product index test. Let's create a product out using that new factory, and let's go ahead and create that out. And of course just make a really simple request, get request to API/products, and we want to assert that we see a JSON fragment in there like so, and we have the ID in the response. So in this case we can use ID, or you can use slug, it doesn't really matter. So let's say product ID. So that should pass. Let's go ahead and run PHP unit tests feature products, and of course let's just go ahead and fix that up and pull in the namespace for product, and of course spell fragment correct. We'll get there eventually. There we go. So we've got that passing. The next thing is I just want to verify that we've got paginated data. So test it has paginated data. Again, spelling that correctly. And for this, it's pretty straightforward. All we really need to do is we don't actually need to create a product in this case. We just want to assert that we have inside of here a JSON structure. So we use assert JSON structure, and this will just assert that it contains a particular structure and doesn't have the values in there. So we just want to make sure that links exist. And what you can do is say that you want to check it has data, links, and meta, as we saw just over here. It's entirely up to you. So you can just say meta or links, doesn't really matter, you know, as long as you're verifying that that information does exist. You don't really need to go too much in depth with this kind of stuff, because you already know that by using a resource and using pagination, that will have already been tested in the back end of Laravel.